Hey there, and welcome. So here's something you hear all the time in Japan, right? You ask someone about their religion, and chances are they'll say, "Oh, I'm not religious." It's like the standard answer. But what if that's not really the whole story? What if there's something else going on just beneath the surface? Let's get into it.
And that really is the big question for today, isn't it? Are Japanese people really non-religious? Because, the sources we're digging into today, they suggest something pretty wild. They point to this powerful, shared belief system that's hiding in plain sight, influencing, well, pretty much everything.
Just think about that for a second. What if most Japanese people are part of a religion without even realizing it? It's a wild thought, right? An invisible religion that everybody's a part of, but almost nobody sees. A system that's so deep, so ingrained, it doesn't even feel like a belief system anymore. It just feels like common sense.
Okay, so what is this thing? Well, the sources we're looking at actually give it a name. They call it a substitute religion. And it's something that serves a very specific and very modern purpose. It's called Japanism. Now, this isn't a religion with gods or temples or anything like that. No, it's a secular system. The core idea is that the way things are right now, the social and political system, is inherently good. It's unquestionable. And its main job, its whole function, is to make the status quo feel completely natural and acceptable, so nobody feels the need to rock the boat.
And this quote, this one really hits the nail on the head. The idea is that the system is less scrutinized, more taken for granted, and more inescapable than something like, say, communism. And why is that? Because it's so woven into the fabric of everyday life that people don't even notice it. It doesn't need some big, scary manifesto. It's just the default setting. It's just how things are.
Okay, so here's the really crucial part. The system judges itself. Think about it. In most places, you have things like law or philosophy, or even traditional religion that can act as a check on power. They offer an outside perspective. But with Japanism, that external check just isn't there. The system itself is the ultimate judge of what's right and wrong. It's a completely closed loop, which means it can never really be challenged.
Now, you'd think something this big, this pervasive, must be ancient, right? Something that just grew naturally over centuries. But, and this is a huge but, the sources we're looking at argue the complete opposite. This wasn't an accident. It was built on purpose.
So let's look at the timeline. This whole thing has very clear political roots. It really kicks off back in the Tokugawa era, when the rulers started cracking down on any philosophies or religions that claimed to have a universal truth, an authority higher than the shogun. Then, boom, the Meiji era hits, and the new leaders basically double down. They intentionally create a new faith by mixing old myths with supercharged patriotism. And the goal was crystal clear: build a mental wall to keep out dangerous foreign ideas like individualism and democracy.
So what kind of ideas were so dangerous? Well, basically anything that suggested your loyalty could lie somewhere other than with the state. Think about it. Independent universal truths, deep religious beliefs like Buddhism or Christianity, systematic critical thinking, and later on, of course, Marxism. All of them were seen as a threat. They had to be pushed aside to make room for this new national ideology.
Okay, so we know it was built on purpose, but how does it actually work day to day? How does it get people to buy in and, well, submit? Let's take a look at the playbook.
A huge piece of the puzzle is something called Nihonjinran, basically theories about what makes the Japanese Japanese. And this way of thinking sets up a really stark contrast. It paints Western thought as cold, logical, and rigid. But Japanese thought? Oh, that's warm, emotional, and flexible. And here's the kicker. That's not presented as a flaw. It's presented as superior. It's more humane, more in touch with reality. You can see how this becomes a powerful tool, right? Any criticism from the outside can just be dismissed with, well, you just don't get us.
Then there's the family metaphor, which is huge, especially at work. And get this, the sources are clear that this is not some ancient samurai tradition. It's a modern invention designed to control workers. Here's how it goes. Step 1, the company tells you, we're not just a company, we're a family. That demands your absolute loyalty. Step 2, that whole family thing totally masks the real power dynamic. Your boss isn't just a manager, they're like a caring parent guiding you. And the result, step 3, is that your job stops being just a job. It becomes a sacred duty to this eternal family.
And this loyalty, it can become almost fanatical. This quote is Well, it's chilling. It's from the suicide note of a manager. The company is eternal, and we should dedicate ourselves to its eternity. I mean, listen to those words. That's not the language of business. That's the language of faith. The company becomes this eternal being you sacrifice everything for.
This whole ideology also works as the perfect shield. Whenever a really tough issue comes up, I'm talking about things like systemic exploitation or abuses of power, there's an easy out. You just label it culture. Oh, that's just how we do things here. And just like that, the problem is put in a box where it can't be criticized or changed. It's not a problem to be solved anymore, it's just an unchangeable fact of the culture.
So what's the endgame here? The sources argue that the ultimate goal is to kind of dull the mind, to make deep critical thinking feel unnecessary, even a little bit dangerous. It gives you all the answers you need, it gives you a strong group to belong to, and in doing so, it effectively bans the adventure of ideas. It's a lot easier to maintain control when no one's asking the tough questions.
Okay, so that's the playbook, but what are the real-world consequences? What does this actually look like in society? Well, it all boils down to creating a powerful ethic of submission.
And this quote right here just says it all. Questioning the system is like questioning the legitimacy of one's mother. Wow, think about that. It's not presented as a political system you can agree or disagree with. It's presented as something as natural and fundamental as your own family. So to criticize it, that's not just a debate, it's a deep, personal betrayal.
This gets to the heart of what loyalty means inside this system. It's not about being loyal to some big idea, like justice or freedom or truth. No, loyalty is laser-focused on your specific group, your company, your department, your boss. It's not about believing in the same things. At its core, it's really an ethic of submission to whoever's in charge of your little world.
And make no mistake, this system doesn't just run on its own. The sources talk about a huge, unofficial propaganda machine. What's so wild is that you'll see rival companies, groups that are normally at each other's throats, all pushing the exact same story about how unique and special Japan is. And a lot of this is packaged as a sincere attempt to explain Japan to foreigners. Meanwhile, back home, the press tends to steer clear of really truly analyzing how the system works.
All right, so we've looked at what Japanism is, where it came from, and what it does. But let's bring it home. Why does any of this matter today in the real world?
Here's the takeaway. This substitute religion creates a culture of dependency. It puts the group first, always. It subtly discourages you from thinking too critically on your own. And what that does is it keeps people in a state that the sources call permanent political tutelage, basically like you're always under the guidance of a higher authority. You rely on the group for everything, your identity, your security, and that, of course, is what keeps the whole power structure perfectly in place.
And that leaves us with one last big question to think about. When a system is so total, so all-encompassing that it's like the air you breathe, is it even possible to stand outside of it? Can a person ever really break free and see it clearly for what it is? Can you separate yourself from an invisible religion that has shaped your entire world? I'll leave you with that. Thanks so much for joining me for this one.